So this is the Playbook, and I was telling a story earlier today. This is probably the third, fourth, maybe fifth Playbook we've done. I can't really remember, but we did our first one 2 years ago in August. And I remember when I started CoachG, and it wasn't about how many memberships or the amount of revenue we made. It was just like, hey, I got this awesome concept. I want to bring it to the world. And I was just happy to fill up a room. There was like 60, 70 people there. And I said, you know what, if we did 30,000 memberships, I would be so happy. We did 125,000. I told the team today, the reason we did that is because I didn't care. We went there, we had fun, we taught our ass off, we educated, and we were just ourselves. People will always resonate with you when you are just yourself. You're authentically yourself, and there's nothing else to hide when you're authentically yourself. And I know that's what we're gonna do the next couple of days. But we've got so many great speakers. We've got our entire team. So Travis speaking on Optimize, Matt speaking on Amplify, Chris speaking on hiring, developing, retaining, attracting, Emily speaking on branding. We've got Joe Pate speaking on annuities. We've got some great carrier partners. Galen Hendricks is here in the house. And we'll really be talking about the blueprint, which is optimize, amplify, scale. That's what everybody knows us for. And we're going to show you how to build a championship insurance team and how to become a championship producer. And that's what we do, baby, build a dynasty. We started CoachG a couple years ago, and Emily has always said to me she doesn't quite know if I know why I'm doing this. And I think if I were to boil it down into one or two words, it's impact. It's impact and legacy. And I mean, I coached for 10 years, and when I stopped coaching, I felt like I was giving up on a big part of my life, which was impact, which was making a difference. And I feel like now I'm fulfilled in that way again. I get to do that in a much bigger way. I mean, I'm actively, both directly and indirectly, impacting thousands, if not tens of thousands across the country through what we teach and what we preach. And we're not only impacting agents, but we're helping their clients get protected that would never have been protected in the first place. So I think at the end of the day, we do this for impact. We do this because we have a servant's heart, and coaching is all of our own. We're expecting a big day. And what I posted about this morning, I want to start with this topic, is just thinking you know it all, right? And I feel like that is the most dangerous game to play.
Don't those people annoy you?
Yes, silently. I try. I'm just going to stop it there. Silently, yes. Gail will be a little more vocal about it. But my point being is I look at this guest list and I see so many experienced agencies today. Mm-hmm. I see agencies from across the country that have been around 5, 10, 15 years.
Met some last night.
Yeah.
We've got one right here.
Yeah, met a ton of great agencies. I mean, people with, Greg, you got 3,500 clients. I mean, people that have major books of business. What that tells me is that we're attracting people that still want to grow. Have already built something great, and they want to build something greater.
I guess the question is, who doesn't want to grow? Where am I supposed to be looking?
Yeah,
you, there, where's the camera?
Camera's up there. Yeah.
Boom, okay.
You can look wherever you want.
All right, cool. But I mean, who doesn't want to grow? I mean, I was literally driving to the airport yesterday. Mm-hmm. And this thought just came through my mind. And it was like, I know I'm getting ready to be 63, but I don't feel 63. Because to me,
who's going to get your meds up? That's
but to me.
Yeah, you're going to write yourself?
Well, I'm just going to ask Brian W. Adams if I can write my own meds up. But I do think what happens is you go through this epiphany when I was your age or even younger, when I thought, 63 is old. I think it had to do with that Beatles song, the 64 song. Good Friend Chip Lewis got that tag. Didn't trademark that one. I should have before you're 64. But, I think it's one of those things where you get to this age and you're like, there's still so much more. And then I see people that are my age and I'm like, they make me think they're old because they don't really have anything to look forward to. And I think that's what's great about the insurance industry is you can do this until you die.
Yep.
It's hard work, but you don't have to be a rocket scientist to do it.
Yeah.
You just have to care about people. And we were talking earlier, I'm going to tell you the little story about the girl in the coffee shop this morning at the hotel we're all staying out. She came up to me and she goes, "Are you a country star?" And I said, "No." Wished I was. I've always wanted to be Dolly. But she goes, "I can tell you're a woman of faith." Well, that's almost a better compliment.
Yeah.
No, it is a better compliment than being a country star, right? And we just shared some things right there. And I've been struggling with my voice all week because last week was treacherous on the voice. But I think just when you do things in a caring way, you know, your voice will come back. You know, I had 2 agents I work with today that said, "I hope you knock it dead today. Thank you, Nicole Morgan." And then I had Wes Rain say, "Hey, I want my agency to be just like yours. I'm building that into my agency. I'm trying to get 40 agents." So I think what we do is we're just building this kingdom of people who are successful. And like I've said 1,000 times, there's only 2 things that I really hear from agents. And they're always like, you know, "Is it okay to want to be wealthy? Is it okay to want to be happy?" And I said, hey, the Bible promises us 2 things, joy and prosperity. I think that's happy and wealthy.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Good translation.
Yeah. And so what I hope all of you are doing today that are watching us is that if you're going on to the virtual that we're doing today, or you're here in the room like you, is that you practice those 2 things. How do I bring joy to all my clients and bring them prosperity so that when the worst things happen, I can't imagine being 70 years old, getting a cancer diagnosis, and my agent didn't tell me about a cancer plan. I mean, the Lord knows I have blasted that out for years. You're doing that now with the umbrella presentation, which I'm so grateful for. I think that when we really breathe all that into agents and they go breathe that into their clients, then man, what a great place to say you work. I work with seniors. I'm making their life more safe, more secure, where they can sleep at night. I can't think of another great job than that.
I was on a plane the other day, and somebody asked me, I mean, at some point, I will probably partner with our good friends at Integrity or somebody along those lines. And they said, okay, when that happens and you have a liquidity event, what are you going to do? Like, what's the first thing you're going to buy? I said, honestly, there's nothing I can think of that I would buy. I would go to work the next day. I would wake up and I would go to work the next day and do the same things I've always done. And that's because I love impacting agents. I love impacting people. I think what you need to think about is when you're offering these ancillary policies, when you're offering cancer, heart attack, stroke, recovery care, hospital indemnity, accident, all these different things, you're teaching it more than anything. You're not only impacting the agents you work with, you're impacting thousands of people.
Yeah.
You're getting people coverage I work with thousands of agents, both directly and indirectly. And with that branch, people are getting coverage they never would have had before.
Welcome. We love Nashville. This is where kind of we planted roots here the last couple of years. We met right on Broadway, believe it or not. So if you guys walk past Honky Tonk Central,
where all dreams come true.
Where all dreams come true. I'll tell you the story real quick. Where's Chris at? Chris is in the back of the room there. You'll meet Chris in a little bit. Chris and I had just got done watching rugby. It was like 11 a.m. Okay, so it was early, promise. Yes. 11 a.m. Chris and I are getting a beer up there. Up walks Emily to the bar. And first thing I say when she walks up, I didn't know what to say. I said, "Holy dimples." And she showed him off a little bit and bought her a drink, and that was kind of it. But got her number as well, and then the rest was history. So if you're single, you may meet the love of your life on Broadway tonight. Go to Honky Tonk Central, second floor. That's the moral of the story. But apart from that, we are so excited to have you guys here. And when we started this thing, we had our first event in August of 24, I think it was. And I was talking about this yesterday, and I didn't really know what was going to come of it. I knew we had a great concept. I knew we had a great idea. I knew that I loved coaching. I knew that I loved impacting. And I want to share as much as I could. And 2 years later, this thing has grown beyond my wildest dreams. And we still have the same mission. It's impacting. It's helping people grow. It's building championship teams and producers. So from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate you guys being here. I appreciate you guys tuning on the virtual. We're going to leave it all on the line these next couple of days. So I promise you, if you came here to get something, you're going to get it. All I ask is that you open your mind up to growth, and we're going to give you everything we got. The last 10 years of my life, everything we built, everything we know, we're going to give away every little secret we can and make sure you walk away with something. So really appreciate you guys being here.
Awesome. Yeah. I think the one part of the story that Chase left out was how incredibly persistent he was in that process. So I was like,
we have low persistency in our agency, by the way.
Thanks for the drink. See you later. We did exchange numbers, and then he right away was like, let's get brunch. And I was like, what? The next day. Anyways, long story short, I was like, I guess I have nothing else to do. So long story short, I think you'll see a lot of that persistency, that resourcefulness, a lot of that will come out over the next 2 days, and you can see why, we have been fortunate enough and have worked really hard, obviously, to build what we've built and get to share a lot of that with you and help each and every one of you, I think, dream bigger is really what we're here to do as well. So super excited to spend the next couple of days with you. God willing, we do have a little kid on the way, so hopefully it stays in here. And anyways, we're thrilled for an awesome couple of days. So,
all jokes aside, Emily may be induced tomorrow. Not kidding. Okay, so
it's fine.
It's all fine. Everything's fine. I swear. We'll
cross that.
Let's get to Wednesday. That's all we're thinking right now. Okay.
Exactly.
So if we evaporate tomorrow afternoon, you know what happened, right?
Yeah, all good. But anyway, so we do have an awesome couple of days planned for y'all. Really to kick us off this morning, there really is nobody better than Chase to do that and to really just, again, open your mind and give you a lay of the land of really what we're going to see over the next couple of days. And I think he's really going to be able to kick it out of the park and get us rocking and rolling for the first little bit. So the one and only Coach G.
Thank you. Got this one going, Kalen? So we're going to start off here, and I really want to set the stage for this entire week. So I'm going to kind of take us up to maybe the 30,000 foot view and show you the blueprint. So who has heard me say optimize, amplify, scale? Anybody? By show of hands? Okay, it's a proven framework. And when you follow this framework, in my opinion, it's going to get you very specific results. And you could also codify that as more revenue, more leads, more people. I assume everybody in here wants one of these three, right? Who in here wants to walk away with more revenue in their business, more leads, and hire more people? Show of hands, right? We all want that. And this is the exact framework that's going to allow you to do that. So I'm really excited to kind of share this. And then what we're going to do is deep dive throughout the week into each one of these segments. So really, when you break it down, there's a lot of different departments that this falls into. And we're going to kind of showcase each of those departments and get very specific throughout the week. So going back here, I really don't like talking like when speakers talk about themselves, but this is going to help you understand the framework of how this works. So 2011, 2015, I was a college football coach. And it's very important I kind of let you guys know that because it gives me a very unique skill set of helping to train, coach, lead, and develop people, right? I had to work with people from all backgrounds, all financial backgrounds, all races, all religions, all those different things, and had to get them to work towards a common goal. And the one thing I found is not everybody learns the same, right? Who has employees in here? I'm sure they do not all learn the same, right? They're not all led the same way. They don't all think the same way. But we got to get everybody working towards that same, my clicker here is not working. Boom, boom. There we go. That same common goal. So I started off as really an LOA. It doesn't say an LOA on here, but a solo producer. Who's a solo producer right now by show of hands? Right? And there's nothing wrong with this. This is a great time to do what I call get optimized. Okay? Solo producer right here. I spent 3 years in this place. Next slide here. Do I need to do something with this guy? Okay. Try here. Technical difficulties. You try to fix this for me, Keeks, or somebody? So 2020, 2023, that's when I brought on my first people. 3 agents, 1 staff member. Who's kind of in this place? Maybe 3 to 5 employees right now. Okay, good. Good amount of people in the room in this place. I think this is one of the toughest places to be. right? Because now it's no longer you. You have to start teaching, you have to start leading, you have to start developing, right? And this can be a place where a lot of people get stuck, can be a place where there's a lot of rotation, right? This can be a really challenging place. And that's where it was for me. I'm gonna tell you how I got out of that. Next slide, please. Good. So 2024, this is where we really started hiring aggressively, right? Brought in some LO agents, had 11 LO agents, 6 staff members. Our downline started growing. Anybody in here in this spot? Okay, this is obviously a more finished product, and then obviously 2025, still not going on me. There we go. There we go. 2025, it really became role duplication, and then 2026, where we currently stand, it got a lot of fun, okay? And I believe what I'm about to show you, this is not that hard, okay? It really comes down to systems, processes, and then just kind of building that machine that starts running on its own. But when I look back at that, we were developing this framework that is optimize, amplify, and scale. And a lot of people want to jump to here, want to jump to step 2, right? They take the shiny object syndrome, which is leads, which is funnels, which all these things, but they don't have this dialed in. So I cannot say enough. These are the 3 pillars we're going to focus on this week. Most people are not optimized. And this is where you need to spend all of your time, because when you get optimized, all you do is you bring in a system, and this part becomes a result of 1 and 2. You with me on that? But when I look back, that's exactly what was happening. 2016, 2019, I was just optimizing. I was developing this system, this process. Here's where the amplification started. I brought on more people and then developed some more systems. And then after that, it just became role duplication. And when you get here, I'm telling you, this is where it becomes, I don't want to say easy, but we're going to go from this to double this in a year because of the machine that's been built.
So statistically, if we're talking about a 65-year-old man, it is very common that his spouse is younger, often by 2 to 3 years on average. What does that mean to everybody in the room? 2 to 3 more years of renewal income you didn't have before you met me. And it also means that when that client T65s, who do they already love? You and you and you and you, okay? So here's where my statistic comes. Sometimes 5 to 10 plus years. So that is freaking cool for your income, right? So now, how many of you have health insurance on yourself? Okay, if I don't see a hand go up, I'm gonna have to have a different meeting with you after this. Now, the reason I bring this up is I, about 2 years ago, was fortunate enough to meet a really kick-butt life insurance agent. And he said, you know what I love about selling your system is that we get renewals on it. And I was like, you don't get renewals, what you're doing right now? And then it dawned on me the type of life products they were selling. It's kind of like an annuity without a trailer, right? So they were selling IUL clients. I thought, oh, that's my spouse in the house client. We can work together. So I created my system in writing, which was against my better judgment because, you know, that was my proprietary material. But this man that runs this very, I always call it small life organization, which had 10,000 agents at their, no, it was 8,000 agents at their summit. It felt like 10,000. They all wanted a product where they could make renewal income. Now, each one of you, when y'all were listening to Chase a while ago and he was showing the menu and then he showed you the revenue streams, the important thing about that is to understand time is money. And if you've got a client on the line and they already trust you, they're going to trust you again and again and again. And that's what makes that revenue stream jump. Those agents that are quickly running through that presentation with Mrs. Jones to get to the next client, they don't like you. I know you think they're irreplaceable, but they're replaceable every day. And that's why agents were saying these call centers are stealing my business. See, that's when it gets real quiet in here because I've just called you all out and y'all don't know what to say to me. And that's okay. Because I want to tell you the solution. The solution is a sell something mentality. Now, when I first started saying this, and I throw all my junk in a trunk at once so you can sit here and go, when are we getting to the next slide? When are we going to get to the next slide? We may not. Because what's important is for you to take something away from this that you retain and then can replicate. So if you don't have R&R, that doesn't mean rest and relaxation all the time. It's retain and replicate. So we will have agents, Chase and I talk about this all the time, that'll go, hey, Galen, how can I work with you direct? How can I work with you direct? How can I work with you direct? Well, I like to work with everybody, okay? You should have the same mentality about your client. When you're talking with your client, there should be nothing other than maybe P&C that they will never not buy from you. But a lot of you raised your hand that you're only selling Medicare products. If you walk up to a client that's 63, how can you have a sell something mentality? What are you going to sell that 63-year-old unless you're Chase's team? Because if Medicare's all you got, that's all you got. That 63-year-old, you're going, I'll see you in 2 years. See, that's a waste of my time.
Everything we do is a system. You gotta have a script for those VAs where they can say the words that are on that script, right? Because with an accent, there's some words that they just don't say well when they, call customers. So we've changed some of the word tracks even in what they say, so you can't tell the accents is thick, right? So you always have to obviously keep, evaluating things and understanding, okay, well, it sounds weird when they, start the phone call off this. I train with those VAs 30 minutes every single day, the outbound callers, and we've totally revamped their first, the whole.
Pause there for me real quick. You hear what he just said? He trains them every single day. You can't just bring a VA into your practice and be like, hey, here you go, figure it all out, right? You have to train them every single day, just like we do our employees and our agents. And that's what Matt does. We have an all-team meeting every single day, and we always recognize people, and we recognize the VA of the day. And I'm always like, say a few words. They're like, praise Matt every day. but that's what happens. They want to be coached. They want to be led. They want to be trained. They want to be a part of the team. They're no different.
Yeah, and so just make sure you have a good system for those VAs. Like by doing these 30-minute appointments every day, we're now, 30 minutes times 5 days a week. We're taking 2.5 hours of calling time off of their schedule, and they've added 60 more appointments a week, right? So they're calling less and setting more appointments because we're training. So don't think that you're pulling people away from selling and getting qualified leads on your calendar. You're setting them up to maximize every single call, right? And every time they get somebody on the phone.
And I saw one of the questions in the chat box there. Our comp model, it should be so simple, your comp model, that you can write it on a sticky note, okay? Very simple, 30-70. We pay them 30, we take 70. And obviously we have significant contracts, but at the same time we have so much volume. Each one of our LOAs is gonna do 45 to 50 apps a month, right? We have a track, when they walk in, I can show them a roadmap on how they're gonna make 100,000 in the first year. And that's gonna be key. A lot of people these days, I don't care if you're 21 or 30, that's the target number one, is how do I get to 100K? So we show them that on day one, and our comp model will prove that as well.
Let's see what kind of questions you have.
Yeah, virtual assistant costs are gonna be anywhere from $7 to $10 in that range. We've got them as low as $4, but it's one of those things, again, you get what you pay for type deal. But they don't come ready to be trained. They are advertised as they're ready to be trained. And we're working with a couple different companies right now, so people are gonna ask me, what do you recommend? I'm not gonna recommend anybody right now because we're working with several different companies before we can really get behind one and promote one to you. I'm not comfortable doing that at this time. But $4 to $10 is kind of in the range. Yes.
What does your training look like for a new LOA before they get on the phone, like duration, length of time?
Yeah, I don't want to steal Chris's thunder. He's going to get into onboarding a little bit here. So Craig's question there for the virtual is, what does our onboarding look like for new agents? And really the most important thing is, what do you do before that, right? And Chris is going to talk about that. A great segue into Chris's segment here coming up.
This is the quickest way to really scale your business, right? To get you to the next level, but it's also the hardest, okay? This is where people really, really struggle and honestly give up, right? Because I can tell you right now, I've done this for about 12 years. I've created teams, I've led teams in Fortune 10 companies in operations, energy, finance. Hiring an LOA, a good LOA, is by far the hardest thing I've done, okay? And there's a reason for that. So corporate job, you get a resume. I can tell 75% on that resume, they're gonna be pretty good. 25% I'll get from the interview, right? Getting a really good LOA, you can't look at a resume and be like, this guy's gonna be a stud, okay? You've gotta get on the phone. You gotta speak to him, right? Half their job is how clear, concise, confident are they on the phone. So it takes a lot more work and moving parts to make sure you're doing your due diligence to get the right people to the show, okay? And this is just a little bit about our growth. Obviously, 2020, Chase started with 2 LOAs, and there's no way he's the same size as Trav here, so this is absolutely AI. And today we have 32 internal agents and employees, okay? And that's substantial growth in 6 years, but we've really only started taking hiring seriously over the last probably 18 months, okay? And we really want to bring in another 9 LOAs minimum and an admin assistant and then some help from that by the end of the year. And we've even brought on 5 agents, 2 admins since January 1st, okay? So we're cruising, and it's not easy. It took us a long time to get this to the way it is, but this number right here is what I'm probably most proud of, right? 94% retention rate, okay? And I'll get into the reasons for that soon. But you can hire as many agents as you want, but if you can't retain them, it's gonna get frustrating and expensive real fast. Okay, so that is the most important figure you're gonna see in any of this presentation here. And then before I get into here, there's one question you need to ask yourself before you think about hiring, okay? And everybody comes to me and, as Chris, I'm at this point where I need to scale, I need to bring, everybody's doing it, they're hiring, they're bringing on LOAs. Ask yourself, do you want to have an LOA shop? Okay, there's plenty of people out there that they don't want to lead, they don't want to manage, they don't want to deal with it, but they feel like they have to because everybody else. You're going to be miserable, okay? It's going to ruin your career, and it's just not going to work for you. So really ask, be serious with yourself. Is this something that you can do? Because if you bring on an LOA, you have a responsibility to develop that person and come through the promises that you've given in terms of, that success period. So that first question you've got to ask yourself is, do I want to do this, okay? And then the VA side. So a lot of people jump straight into this. I need a full-time, in-person, I need an admin, I need to get these LOAs. I ask you to kind of take a step back and look at what you're doing on a day-to-day. That's not sales related. What's not revenue generating for you, okay? Can a VA come in and do that? Okay, it's gonna be a much cheaper option. And it's also an opportunity for you to kind of dip your toes in the water in terms of how do you lead, how do you train? And the VAs can be very good, okay? They're only gonna be as good as what you make them, okay? You can't bring a VA on, give them a spreadsheet and think they're gonna work with it. You've gotta give them your time, your energy, and they really can solve a lot of problems for you if you give them a chance, okay? I'm a firm believer on this one that you can bring on as many LOAs as you want, successful LOAs, and they can write a lot of business, but if you haven't got a back office structure in place, if you haven't got admin assistant, office managers, you're gonna get swamped real fast, okay? Because the more production, the more service. So you've gotta have this solution figured out first, and the LOAs will follow for you. And in terms of who you wanna hire, we've never hired an experienced Medicare agent. Everybody we brought in has been very green, and that's the way we like it, right? It's very hard to teach bad habits, get them away from that, okay? We have a proven process with CoachG to put them in, so we really like folks that are coachable, follow through, and resilience. That's what we're looking for. And then this one's a big one for me, okay? I always say this every time I speak to somebody is, you spend more time with your employees than you probably do with your family, okay? There has to be a connection there, okay? You do not have to be best friends, but there has to be a level of respect and enjoyment when you're working together, Okay, that's hugely important. And then think bigger picture. Okay, think when you're interviewing this guy, can he be a team lead? Can he be a manager? Can he be in leadership? Okay, think 3 years ahead of where you're at. Okay, because you really want to build out that management structure if you want to grow. So every time you're interviewing and talking, think, can this guy lead? Can he manage? What's the possibilities here?
Who works with Matt right now, by show of hands? I mean, Matt is the most popular guy on our platform because, let's be honest, a lot of us have a lot of uncomfort when it comes to automations, funnel building, the marketing, the tech side. And the one thing that I respect most about Matt is he just cares about people. And he goes the extra mile for people, and it shows from top to bottom. And it shows through results more than anything. So I'm very excited to introduce you to Matt, who's going to walk you through how we bring in 1,500 leads per week.
All right. All right. My portion of CoachG is the Amplify section. All right. The goal of Amplify is to create a predictable and scalable lead generation model. How many people here, Chase kind of touched on a little bit, but how many people here are, I guess, intimidated is probably the word, by, you know, a lead generation? Like, how do I continue to bring more people to the dance, right? Our goal here is to teach and coach how to do that, right? And build a system that you can use year after year after year. Okay, you'll hear us a lot talk about teaching and coaching. Just like Chase, I'm a fired football coach. All right, so we like to teach, we like systems. This is just, it's embedded in who we are, okay? So with that being said, how many people here would like to add $30,000 to $50,000 of revenue by the end of the year, right? I'm sure obviously everyone, no matter how much money you're making, right? Rhetorical question. So with that being said, I'm going to give you a few seconds here, 10, 15 seconds. Think of all the different avenues that you can go down to bring in more people, right? Not Travis obviously has the optimized side. We're excluding that, which, as we see here, is the first step. But once you get that optimized cross-selling aspect going, think about every way that you can bring more people to you, right? And what we found out, which a lot of you experienced, are these are the top ways to bring people into your business. Weekly webinars we run, seminars, we've done it all, right? Chase used to door knock, Travis used to door knock. I've door knocked a little bit for life insurance leads, not fun, right? But it pays the bills. So with this being said, we know we are wearing a lot of different hats when we're chasing people down. You know, how many people here, raise your hands, have a referral partner that sends you leads? A lot of people, right? That's how the business is built by majority of people. Well, we know when that's our business model, you're going to get a call from that referral partner. Hey, Bobby's going to give you a call, turning 65 in 3 months, red hot, right? Red hot, he needs help. You're sitting there waiting for Bobby to call. Bobby doesn't call, right? You get their phone number, can't get in touch with them, okay? And you never end up getting in touch with that person, right? Even though you're getting these referrals to you, there's just always a disconnect. You're sitting here chasing people around. There's no system to be able to collect those leads from a trusted referral source, okay? So what we're going to show here is just really two of our options. You've heard about Springfield Clinic. You've heard about Troxel, right? Excuse me. Those are our two big referral partners.
All sales flow through Travis and his team. Travis's sole job is to get you to $1,200 or more per client. And that's how super focused we are on our positions. Travis is the best at that. Travis is a specialist there. When somebody has a sales question, it's Travis, and his team. Okay, so Travis is really going to deep dive into what we call optimization in the sales process, and there's truly nobody, in my opinion, better in the country to teach this than Travis. So Travis, go away, everybody.
There we go.
Thank you. Yep.
All right, so I've been thinking about, and Chase did a pretty good job of introducing me. I just wanted to tell a super quick story. Chase usually does this at the beginning when he talks. So Chase was a college football coach, correct? Does anybody know the two types of coaches in the world? Waiting to get hired and waiting to get fired. So the reason I say that, so I'm going to take credit for something here. Chase's last year as a college football coach, I was the captain of the football team, okay? He was waiting to get fired, resigned. Next year, started in insurance, okay? I am almost directly responsible for getting him fired and getting into the insurance business. So, you guys are all here partly because of me. So, here we go. I was fired up about that. Okay? Here we go. So we're going to talk about optimization, guys. To me, optimizing means a few different things. And we're going to talk about, Chase said it, we're going to talk a lot about the number 1,200. So I have it written up here, 1,200. But there's some other things that go into that. So we run Turning 65 leads, right? What is happening, just a little interaction here. What is happening right now? When you talk to someone that's turning 65, what is happening? What are people doing now longer than ever? Working. Is every turning 65 individual you guys talk to, are they going to start Medicare at 65? Okay. If I talk to that individual and they don't turn 65, and I just took, Galen said this earlier, my time is money, right? If I spend 45 minutes with that individual and I can't sell a Medicare product, did I just waste my time, or what did I do with that appointment? Okay, so getting things out of a turning 65 appointment that are not Medicare related. Okay, that's part of optimization. What else is it? Okay, I have it written up here. You hear us talk a lot about scaling. Okay, you're going to hear me talk a lot today about consistent processes. Okay, is it consistent? Is it repeatable? Is it scalable? Okay, so everything we do falls under that category. It's consistent, it's repeatable, and scalable. Okay, 1,200, and then the biggest thing, and I never want to get away from this, we talk a lot about numbers, we talk a lot about processes, we talk a lot about revenue, but one of the most important pieces, guys, protecting your clients. Okay, there is a lot that goes into that. Our job, we're educators. Okay, what are my options with Medicare? What are my exposures to Medicare? How do I fix that? That's really what we do. We educate. What are my options? What are the exposures? How do I fix it? Okay? So let's get right into it. Okay? Really going to focus on optimization. Probably should have flipped the slide, but here we are. So first thing, 1,200. Really, when it comes down to optimization, what we look for, 1,200 in revenue or use first year commission per client. That is optimizing at its core. Okay, so I know Chase, actually before I do that, okay, it's super important. Okay, we talk about optimization, amplify, scale. It's super important we focus on that first pillar. Okay, optimize, right? So I'm just gonna do a little math here with you guys. Okay, average, this is $400 per client. And I know a lot of you guys earlier, you raised your hands right. If I were to ask you what your average first year commission is per client, it's gonna be anywhere from 300 to 600, okay? Now, just as a solo producer, this is the math on that, okay? That's an $80,000 difference. If I bring in people, okay, if I wanna scale and I don't have this optimized yet, 80,000 times five agents, what's that number? I'm not very good at math. Okay, about 400,000, okay? Now if I repeat that, let's say I have 10 people, that's now 800,000 in revenue. Okay, and I am missing the boat on that. So it's super important we are optimized in our sales process before we amplify and before we scale.
I think it's one of the most overlooked parts of growing a really successful business is building that brand and then really bringing that brand to the market through brand messaging, vision, all those different things that Emily's going to go over. So nobody better qualified and nobody just better, period, than Emily Gruning.
Why, thank you.
And I missed you last year, so I get to see you now.
No. Awesome. All right. So super excited to talk branding. It's one of my favorite subjects. And I love that I'm sandwiched in between my favorite guys. So I know you heard from Travis and Joe on the optimization side of things. And obviously, you know, that's such an important part of, you know, what you do. And, you know, we will talk about that till the cows come home. However, I always think about Matt, who you're going to hear from next, and certainly, you know, you'll hear a little bit more about scaling as well from Chris and Chase. But I think when you know, I think everybody's probably chomping at the bit to hear from Matt. around amplifying and how to, the lead generation component, obviously that's what's super exciting. But I think what's always missing, certainly between like you selling to amplifying, a lot of the times is this conversation, is really thinking about, okay, how am I perceived in the marketplace today? I think certainly as a solo producer, you can kind of get away with, having a logo or a name and all these different things. However, when you start to think about putting yourself out there on Facebook, and generating leads from digital advertising and all these things, the first thing I think of when I run across someone, right now it's all baby stuff, right? In my world, so I run across baby things, I Google them, right? And I'm like, who is this person? What kind of credibility do they have? And all of those types of questions. And so I think that's really where I fit very nicely in between these two, as Matt gets up here and talks about that, and just thinking about that. And as Chase mentioned, what you'll see from us is certainly the evolution of our brands. And I'm going to talk about 3 of them because we have 3 different ones now. So you'll see, most importantly, the difference between them all and how important it is to define what it is that you want your brand to stand for and what it means and all of these different things. But just being thoughtful about that is certainly super important. So, and I'm going to talk about 2 different things as well with the branding. I think everybody certainly thinks about logos and fonts and all of these, fun kind of aspects of branding. But I'm also going to talk a lot about the internal side of that, especially for, I think, many of you who has a team. I know we kind of raised hands earlier. Raise your hand if you have a team. Yeah, there's a lot in my experience and really where I come from, which I'll talk about in a minute, where the internal branding and how you put forth that within your organization from a culture perspective, honestly, in my opinion, matters way more than what you put out externally, because your people are your product, right? So, we've got a whole team out there that are representing greening health and wealth every single day. And I take it very seriously what that looks like, because we could put all of these fancy things out there, but if they have a terrible experience or we don't match what we say we do, then you've totally lost the room, you've lost referrals, you've lost all of these things. So we'll talk about the internal and the external branding side. So what is branding, right? Because again, a lot of people are going to say like, oh, it's your logo or it's your tagline. It's really bigger than that, right? It's like the perception that people have of your organization. It's the consistency of what you put out there in terms of who you are and again, who you're not. It's what you value. It's the emotional connection that you can create with people. It's, the root of your identity. It's the reputation that you cultivate, whether or not you know it. Like you're cultivating your reputation out there. And that's all of what you're trying to accomplish when you think about branding and marketing is like, how am I making sure that all of these things are constantly something that we're working on? And I also think that's a lot of the times what people think about when they think of branding is like, okay, I picked my logo, I picked my colors, my website's done, like moving on, right? But you evolve as an organization over time. And I think that's what you'll see in this presentation is like how much we've changed even within our brands over the years and like making sure that you stay up to date with that and that, what you're doing today mirrors, on your website or in your socials or so on and so forth and wherever you're putting your messaging out there. So why does this matter, right? We want to build trust and credibility. So like I said, I mentioned, Matt's component, he's going to talk next. And so, the first thing that someone's going to do when they see your ad is they may click on that and then they may say, well, who's this Greening Health and Wealth or who's this Chase guy or, so on and so forth. And they're going to Google it. And so they're going to see like, do you have a website that's been updated or is your social media from 3 years ago? I'm going to start being like, that seems questionable, right? So, that building trust and credibility is huge. Obviously, differentiation in a crowded market. There's obviously a ton of people out there that need help with Medicare. So, we're all there to assist, but making sure that you've set yourself up to differentiate in what could be a crowded market. Like I said, you want to create that emotional connection. Internal alignment is massive, in my opinion. And then, of course, you want to drive marketing and sales, right? So I'm going to start on the internal side, which, again, in my mind is first. However, for some and most, honestly, it's probably flip-flopped, whereas if you're starting an organization and it's just you, you're probably not going to sit down necessarily and write your mission statement, even though hopefully you have something in your mind of why you're doing what you're doing. However, as you start to scale and grow, which you'll see over time as we continue to have these conversations, like really defining who it is and what you are is super important as you scale, and you'll find that it makes the hiring process and the employee engagement process a lot easier when you're very clear from the very beginning of the type of organization that you are and what you stand for and what you're looking to do. And so part of that creation of the foundation is really first defining what that internal brand is, creating buy-in from your team from the minute they jump in, and then essentially maintaining that culture over time, right? So, and funny enough, like from a definition perspective, like, if you look at us, like we, as Chase showed, we've grown exponentially over the last several years, but we really just probably put into words formally just within the last 6 months, like who we feel we are and where we're headed. And we did that for all 3 brands, which is great. So like I said, I mean, as much as in an ideal world you're doing it first, more than likely you're kind of coming back to that story as you start to kind of hone in on what that piece looks like.
Hang around these people, a bunch of agency owners and big solo agents. It's just amazing to be immersed with the culture that CoachG offers. Some really great networking opportunities, getting able to pick everyone's brain on what they're doing, what their operation has been huge. I've learned a lot, like even outside of the event, just talking with other people and, seeing what they got going on. And then with the event, some of the speakers were amazing. Galen is great. Travis was amazing. Freaking Matt's a great guy. Learned all of the operation side of things and can't wait to go implement everything that I learned today. It was packed with amazing information and I'm excited and stoked to go take action. So yeah.
Today was a fantastic day. First day of the conference, lots of excellent content. We had Galen there, Queen of the Bundle, and Coach G, Travis and his whole team. I've been to a lot of these events, but this one really, I felt like there was a ton of value. The thing that's nice about these meetings are you get to meet people from all different walks of life, right? There's agents that are new, agents that aren't new. I love the camaraderie. I've been in this business 15 years, and I love to be around people that are energized, are going places. And the thing, someone asked me what was different today than some of the other events I went to, and I'd have to say it's really Coach G's program and their culture and the way they attack it. I mean, they have literally I've been doing this a long time. I almost feel like I've been doing it wrong, but I haven't. I've just been doing it different. But literally, when I go home, I'm going to implement a lot of the stuff I learned today. And it's just great. And they're always on looking for new ways to do things better. So I'm really happy to be part of this crew.
Day one is a wrap of the Playbook Nashville. We left it all on the line today. I was so impressed with all of our speakers. Galen just brought in so much knowledge, literally an industry legend. And then Travis took the stage, talked about optimizing and how to get your revenue per client, $1,200, $1,500 per client. Then we had Emily talk about how to build an incredible brand. Maddie took the stage with amplifying how we bring in 1,500 leads per week. Chris followed him up with how we attract, hire, train, develop. And then we wrapped it up with a great day. So really what we did today is we went to kind of a 30,000 foot view of what it means to optimize, amplify, and scale. And then we went into each department. We got super detailed on what it's like to be optimized in a sales process, what it's like to amplify with paid ads and marketing, what it's like to scale with incredible people. I mean, if I look back at the last 10 years, I could have done this so much faster if I just found somebody who had the blueprint and gave that to me. How can you expedite your future with our past?